Good day, friends. In today's lecture, I am going to talk about risk. In my previous lecture on return and risk, I talked about return. In any of the investment which you make in any of the asset class, whether it is equity, whether it is bonds, debentures, fixed deposits, post office deposits, real estate, gold, all assets are subject to some risk. When we invest in any asset, we invest with expectation that this asset will give you some return, because investment involves sacrifice. It involves sacrifice of the present consumption. It sacrifices that the pleasure which you can enjoy today by spending that money, you make a sacrifice of that. In return of that, you always expect that this investment which you are making for future, it is going to give you some return. But the expectation which you have with the investment of this asset or the asset in which you are investing is not necessary that you will get the same return which you are expecting. There may be variability of return which you expect by investing in that asset. This variability of return, of expected return, is called the risk. What I mean to say by this is that there are two important features, two important attributes in any of the investment. One is return and the other is risk. Both return and risk go in tandem. Two attributes are return and risk means that every investment that we make this investment with the objective, with the prime motive, with the motivating force that this investment of yours will give you some return. When a business class, when an entrepreneur, when a businessman invest in some assets, it makes some investment in that asset, it makes an investment in the business with the expectation that this business is going to give him or her a profit over a period of time and he will get some return out of it. But the expectation with which the investment is being made, it is not necessary that the expectation is fully fulfilled. Expectation may be partially fulfilled, it may not fulfill at all. Means what I mean to say is that there is a degree of risk involved in any of the investment that we make. So we say that return and risk are the two important attributes in any of the investment and they go in tandem. So what is risk? In today's lecture, my focus will be on the risk aspect, because as far as the return is concerned, I have already discussed with you in my previous lecture on risk and return. So risk is defined as the possibility that the actual return may not be as per expectations. Means there is a variability of return in the sense that if I am investing in say 1 lakh rupees with the expectation that this investment of mine will give me 10% return, there is a likelihood that the return may be less than 10%, return may be more than 10%. Means there is a variability of the return which I am going to get in future. So this variability of return with the expected return is called our risk. So level of risk different from security to security. As all of us know, treasury bills, that is the securities issued by the government of India, are being considered as almost risk free. I am using the word almost risk free because it is being assumed that never in the past nor in the future it is expected that the government of India is going to fail in making its commitment of the investment which the investor has made. Suppose you are making an investment in a government bond, RBI bond, and the coupon rate of interest is 6% on that. It is expected that you will get this 6% return on this investment of 1,000 rupees, if I am presuming that the bond is of 1,000 rupees year after year. And when the maturity will take place, if this bond is for 10 years, after 10 years, the government of India or RBI is going to give you back this 1,000 rupees. So there is a less probability that the money which you are investing and the return which you are expecting, that is a 6% the coupon rate of interest, there is a failure on the part of the Government of India or the RBI in fulfilling its commitment. So, it is the degree of risk is very, very low. On the other hand, if you invest in equity shares, you invest in the equity share with the two expectation. One is that it will give you regular dividend. Number two, that the price at which you are buying and the price at which you will be selling after a period of time, there will be a price difference, that the price at which you are expecting to sell this share will be more than the price at which you are buying. So, the price difference is called capital gain. So, when you are making this investment, you are making this investment for two basic purposes. One is for dividend, the other is the difference in the purchase price and the sale price in form of capital gain. But it is not necessary, as all of us know, stock market fluctuates, and it is not necessary that the share price performance of the share which we have bought will be as per our expectation, right. So, the level of risk in the equity share is higher as compared to the investments in fixed deposits, in banks, in the post office deposits, and like that. What I mean to say is that level of risk differs from security to security. Even within the equity market, you buy different types of shares. So, the risk differs from one security to other. I will be discussing this point later on in detail. So, risk and return go hand in hand. As the risk increases, the required rate of return also increases. Let me point out here itself that every investor is a risk averse investor, and I will say every rational investor should be risk averse investor. Means what it means is that an investor is ready to take risk providedly the investor is being compensated reasonably well as compared to the degree of risk which he is taking. What I mean to say by this is that as and when the risk increases, the return should also increase, and the return should compensate the extra degree of risk, extra risk which we are taking, right. So, we say as the risk increases, the required rate of interest also increases, or it should increase. The same example of equity and the government bond I will take, right. So, because it is being presumed, or I will say it is a fact also, that in the government securities, treasury bills, the level of risk is very low, because there is low likelihood that the promise which the Government of India makes or which the RBI makes, it will fail to fulfill its promise. So, the required rate of return is, like say if I talk in terms of present scenario, you are ready to invest in treasury bills at rate of 5%, 6%, say 5%. But when you are going to invest in the equity market, you will not invest in the equity market with the expectation of 5% return, other things remaining same, because you all know and we all know that in equity market the risk is higher as compared to the bonds or treasury bills, or as compared to the fixed deposit in the bank. So, what it means is that if you invest in equity shares where degree of risk is high, your required rate of return, your expectation will also be high. If you invest in an asset or in an asset class where the degree of risk is low, you will be satisfied with the lower rate of return. So, equity shares have the maximum risk, I have already told. Now, what is the difference between risk and uncertainty? In common parlance, normally we use these two terms interchangeably, right. Most of the time we say whether we use the term risk or whether we use the term uncertainty, it is more or less considered to be the same term. But technically there is a difference between risk and uncertainty. Let us understand what exactly is the difference between risk and uncertainty. Risk is defined as a situation where the possibility of happening or not happening of an event can be quantified and measured. Means you can assign the probability of happening or not happening of an event in risk, while uncertainty is defined as a situation where this possibility cannot be measured. I am repeating. So, risk is defined as a situation where the possibility of happening or non happening of an event can be quantified. So, what it means is that risk can be quantified, while uncertainty, the possibility of happening of an event cannot be quantified or it cannot be measured. So, risk is a situation when probabilities can be assigned to an event on the basis of the availability of facts and figures. On the other hand, uncertainty is a situation where either the facts and figures are not available or the probability cannot be assigned. See, earthquake will take place, or whether there will be drought. I mean, it is an uncertain situation. It is an uncertainty. You cannot assign exact probability out of it. So now, after talking of the difference between risk and uncertainty, now let's talk of a very important aspect, type and sources of risk. So, I mean, why risk arises? Why there is a difference between the actual return and the expected return? There are many multiple reasons of it. We can classify these reasons or these factors broadly in two categories to start with: external factors and internal factors. What are the external factors? External factors are by and large beyond the control of a company, beyond the control of management. In this lecture, my focus will be more or less around equity market, right? So, what are the external factors which affects the equity market? It may be economic changes, it may be policy changes of the Government of India, or for that matter international policies. It may be the international scenario. Scenario means economic scenario. It may be taxation policy of the government. It may be political condition, cultural changes, social changes. Means these are various factors which increases or decreases the degree of risk in any investment. Suppose there is a geopolitical situation is such that there is a tension in the world, right? So, if there is a geopolitical situation is such where there is a tension in the world, certainly the degree of risk in the investment will increase. Because if something wrong happens, if supposing the war takes place between the two countries and escalate, and the group of countries and the group of other countries on the other side, they are into war, in the warring situation. In this situation is not good for economic growth of the world as a whole. And if this situation arises, certainly the level of risk will increase, because in that situation the probability of getting the return which you are expecting, it also gets affected. So, means because of any geopolitical tension, the degree of risk increases. Because of change in economic policies, say if I restrict myself to the country like say India, I will say if there is a these changes in monetary policy, changes in fiscal policy affects the level of risk. In the last year, the Government of India, in the previous year, the Government of India has reduced the direct taxation on the corporate's profits. It enhances, it increases the profitability of company, because the direct tax, which we call it corporate tax, directly affects the profitability of the companies. If the tax rate gets reduced, right, because the government policy, the fiscal policy is such where the Government of India is reducing the tax rates. So, if Government of India reduces the direct tax, I am referring to the direct tax, income tax and the corporate tax. So, if the income tax and the corporate tax get decreases, means it is being reduced, certainly the corporate profits will go up. If the direct tax on the individuals is get reduced, see the disposable income of people will increase, they will spend more money. So, if they will spend more money, there will be more consumption, it will lead to economic growth, it will lead to economic acceleration, which will lead to the profit increase in the profitability of the company. So, it is going to affect the level of risk of the investment. I mean the taxation policy I have just referred, the political condition. In any of the country, if the political situation is not conducive for business environment, or political situation is unstable, the level of risk increases, because no company, or I would say the economic policies or economic conditions of the country will not improve in a situation, or there is a likelihood of not improving the economic situation if there is a political unrest or political conditions are not good in the country. So, political factors do affect the level of risk of the investment. Cultural changes, social changes, right, behavioral pattern. In this pandemic period, the corona period, the many of the people, the social fabric of the country has affected by it. The culture changes are taking place. I mean, people are not spending on very large amount on festivals, social gatherings and all these things. So this affects the level of risk of the business and level of risk of the investors. So these are the external factors. So these external factor influences the returns of the securities. After talking of external factors, now let me talk of internal factors. See, internal factors are within the control of the company. They are something which takes place because of the internal reasons of the organization. So internal factors are those which are well within the control of the specific company and includes factors such as management, means management policies. When I am talking of management, the management policies means whether the management is aggressive, management is conservative, right? How professional the company is, how professional the management of the company is. More professional the management of the company is, there is a likelihood that the things will be more transparent, and when the things will be more transparent, it is a likelihood that the investors will give more value to such companies, the share price will go up. Labor conditions, there are certain companies where there is a quite often labor unrest situation, right? So company cannot progress if there is a labor unrest. So what is the labor conditions, what is the management conditions, efficiency of the people who are working in the organization, governance system. These days governance is a very, very important part, and history tells us that the corporates which are having good corporate governance, they are being valued more by the investors in the stock market, right? So what is the quality of the governance? And that is the internal factor. If the governance deteriorates in the sense the level of governance, when I am saying level of governance, I mean to say the good governance is question mark, is being questioned. So in that case, certainly the market, the stock market is not going to give a high price to such shares. So obviously the risk of the investors will increases. So these are the internal factors which affects the return of the investors. So means whether it is the type of management, its governance levels, efficiency, labor conditions, right? So these are all internal factors, right? How efficiently you are managing the organization, how efficiently, when I say efficiently or inefficiently, what is the level of efficiency in the organization? These are internal factors, but these are controllable factors. These can be controlled by the management. So these internal factors also influence the return of a security of a specific company, right? So this affects only the company. It will not affect the overall. As far as the external factors are concerned, they will affect all the companies, almost more or less in the same manner. But as far as the internal factors are concerned, internal factors affects the company in a specific. Suppose when a company presents its balance sheet, annual balance sheet, and the shareholders in the general body meeting do not have trust in the profits, the balance sheet, the accounts that are there being prepared. If there is some feeling amongst the investors that there is something wrong in the accounts, it means, and if it is being proved that some account in the accounts something has been done, something is not that transparent which it should be, certainly that will affect the share price, because the governance level of the company comes in the question. And when the governance levels will come in the question, certainly it will affect the share price. The stock market never gives good pricing to such companies. So what I mean to say is that these internal factors affects the company in a specific, right? So now I am talking of this, when I am talking of the external factors and internal factors. So now let me talk of, there are two other things, we call it the sources of risk, or how the risk takes place. So broadly we classified as systematic risk and unsystematic risk. This we have to discuss in detail, what are the systematic risk and what is unsystematic risk. See, as I was saying about the external factors, I would say systematic risk affects all the companies. I am not saying that systematic risk will affect all the companies exactly in the same degree. The degree may vary, but this systematic risk will affect all the companies. This is basically the macro nature, like market risk, interest rate risk, inflation risk, exchange rate risk. I will be discussing these risks one by one, right? And the unsystematic risk is business risk and financial risk. Depending on the source of risk, the total risk can be classified in two types: systematic and unsystematic. Now let me talk of the systematic risk first. It is caused by factors which are external to the company and are beyond the control of the company or individual. Like I was talking of, when I was talking of the external factors and internal factors, I was basically referring to these systematic risks, right? So these systematic risks which are of external nature means, when I am saying external nature means, what it means is that it is beyond the control of the management. It is not within your control, within the control of the organization, right? And like inflation, tax reforms, government policies, recession. So these are all factors which are called external factors. See, if inflation takes place, it is going to affect all the companies. I'll be talking these points one by one in detail. If tax reforms, like when the GST was being introduced in India, initially there were a lot of hiccups in the GST, and corporates were finding it difficult, especially the small organizations, small businessmen, small entrepreneurs were finding it difficult to fill the GST forms and making compliance with their GST norms. So when that GST was introduced, in the initial phase of the introduction of the GST, I mean the corporates get affected by it. But as and when it becomes, people are become habitual of adopting the GST rules and regulations, corporates are making compliance of it, small businessmen making compliance of it. It is easy for them now, right? So this is basically, whenever the tax reforms takes place, it affects the business. As I was referring when I was talking about the external factors, I was saying that if the tax rate get reduced, for the corporates the tax rate gets reduced. If the tax rate get reduced, certainly the corporate profits will go up, right? But if the corporate tax rate increases, it will increase the risk of the companies because the profitability will come down, right? So there are many policies of the government of India, many tax laws which affects the profitability of the company directly. Like when those companies which are involved in import and exports of goods, import of raw material and then exporting goods, if the custom duty, if there are various types of duties that is being imposed, not custom duty, the various type of duties that is being imposed on the producer, if they are reduced or increased, certainly the level of risk will also change. So these government policies, recession conditions, means if there is a overall recession in the economy, certainly it is going to affect all the companies, right? Degree of effect may vary, because the companies, like say for example, if I talk of fast moving consumer goods, like company like Hindustan Lever, Unilever, Colgate, Dabur, Marico, these companies which makes toothpaste, toothbrushes, soaps, and these are things which are of daily consumption, right? So if recession, even if there is a recession, people are going to use this. But as far as the car is concerned, as far as the luxury goods are concerned, as far as the branded clothes are concerned, if there is a recession in the country, certainly the level of income of the people get reduced. So in such a situation, people will consume less, people will spend less. So in such a situation, the level of risk of the investor will be affected. So this systematic risk affects the entire stock market and not just a particular stock or industry. So it cannot be eliminated by an investor by holding a large number of securities. So it's also called a non-diversifiable risk. So as far as the systematic risk is concerned, it cannot be diversified by holding more number of securities, right? So we say normally, do not put all your eggs in one basket. So when you increases the number of security, we say risk is diversified. But as far as the systematic risk is concerned, it is almost non-diversifiable, right? So beta is an indicator of systematic risk. of a security and measures the sensitivity of securities return. See, there are various methods of measuring risk, right? So when you measure risk, you raise, if the beta of a company is high. When I say beta of a company means beta is a measure of systematic risk. If it is high, it means there is a higher volatility in the return of the security, and as the market changes, the stock price changes. When there is a change in the index of the Mumbai Stock Exchange or the National Stock Exchange, the level of share price, change in the share price of the company changes more than, if beta is more than 1, it means the degree of variability is high. If beta is less than 1, means degree of variability is less as compared to the market return variability. So it includes market risk, interest rate risk, inflation risk and exchange rate risk. Friends, I will be discussing all these risks, market risk, interest rate risk, inflation risk and exchange rate risk in my next lecture. So thank you very much. So we are talking of systematic risk, and in the systematic risk I will be talking of in detail in my next lecture all these different types of systematic risk. Thank you.